to this week's episode of
Hey, I think we're good here.
I'm one of your co-hosts, Jackson Metakekia.
And I'm Matt West, and we're here getting to know the sport of volleyball through the life experiences our guests have to share with us. Come take a listen. Today's episode stars Ole Miss head coach, world champion, and Olympic bronze medalist Kayla Banwarth. Kayla discusses her limited volleyball exposure living in Iowa, the culture of Nebraska volleyball, her first time being a part of the USA national team, the sacrifices she made to be an Olympian, winning a world championship, how culture over talent created the fortitude to bounce back and become bronze medalists, how she is applying her playing knowledge and experience to her program now, and of course, Big Daddy hacks.
Feel that lightning down in my soul. And if you wanna feel the thunder, baby, better let me know.
Hello.
Oh my goodness.
Hi.
How are we doing?
We doing? How are you doing?
Great. I'm doing real good.
Nice to meet you, Kayla. I'm Jackson.
Nice to meet you.
Well, on that positive note, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
We're so happy
Sorry.
that you could finally make time for us.
I know, I'm sorry it took so long. I suck.
No, it's okay. We appreciate having you on, and we're keeping the coach and train rolling. Jackson was very adamant about bringing on coaches. Little does he know, we're going to interview you as a player.
Oh, cool.
And a coach.
Yeah.
We'll do you as both. Because I am curious how it all panned out at the end. But
Yeah.
anyways, let's get it going. Why volleyball? How volleyball? Where did it all start?
Yeah, so my parents both played volleyball. My mom played at UNI for a couple years. That's Northern Iowa. And then my dad didn't play collegiately, but played in, the local YMCA league. And, legend has it in Dubuque, Iowa, he was really, really good. So my parents both played. Had a volleyball in my crib, just played all my life. They both coached as well, so I was always in the gym. I was that kid in the corner hitting the ball against the wall for hours on end. And yeah, was just kind of always hooked on it. Was kind of born into a volleyball family.
When did you start playing organized volleyball?
I started playing organized volleyball when I was 7. And it's kind of funny because my mom coached 12-year-olds at the time, so I just joined her team. So I was a 7-year-old on the 12-year-old team. And the agreement was that my mom said that as soon as I got my serve over the net from the end line with a normal weighted ball, then she'd put me on a team. And I guess she thought I'd be in 5th or 6th grade. And here comes little 7-year-old me mommy, watch me. And, she's like, oh, shit. All right. So yeah, I joined a team when I was 7 and just played with older kids for the first several years of my career, I guess, if you want to call it.
That might be a record, 7 years old getting a full court serve over.
Just hours in the gym. That's just what I did when I was little.
My mom told me a similar story about myself when I served my first ball over. She just kept harping this girl on you got to do this. You got to do this. And impatient Matt West got up, walked over to the girl and was like, just do this. And I just stripped it over the net and I went and sat down. I think I was, same. I was 6 or 7 years old. I was just pissed.
Yeah.
And then I just went and sat right back down. And my mom was like, God damn
That is so funny.
That is a very Matt West thing to do.
Yeah.
So were you born and raised in Iowa?
Born and raised in Dubuque, Iowa.
How prominent is club volleyball?
When I was growing up in Iowa, it wasn't very prominent. Chicago was 3 hours away, and obviously those Sports Performance and all those big clubs out of there. There was a few clubs in Iowa that, went to qualifiers, and the club I played for was called Six Pack. my senior year, and like we played at Crossroads and I think Northern Lights. And my mom actually founded a club in Dubuque when I was very little called Court Masters.
Okay.
That is, I don't think that's even in existence anymore, but that's the club I started out at. But like, I mean, us going to Denver for Crossroads was a big deal in Iowa. So it really wasn't very prominent. I think it's gotten better. There's several clubs that go to, you know, a lot of nationwide tournaments. So it's getting better. But when I was young, it wasn't very prominent.
How old were you when you were actively starting to think about college volleyball?
I think I was a sophomore in high school when I started getting like questionnaire letters and things like that. So yeah, probably around sophomore year.
It's pretty late, isn't it? Or have times changed and now I'm just used to hearing about kids getting recruited in 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah, I think the times have changed a little bit, that kids are getting recruited young. And I wasn't like, I was a hitter in high school. So I wasn't, you know, I didn't libero or anything until I got to college, and a lot of schools were recruiting me as an outside hitter. So that's probably part of the reason you know, maybe it was so late. I'm sure like, you know, Alex Klein was in my class and Cassidy Lickman was in my class. Like I'm sure those girls got recruited younger than I did.
Yep, that's fair. It's probably fair analysis. I'd recruit Alex Kleiman pretty young.
Yeah, I remember we played.
More at 13.
Right? I know. I mean, I recruited like, yeah, the 2021 class is going to Nebraska. They were all like 6'4", 6'5" when they were 8th graders. It's dumb.
Did you play outside all throughout high school?
Yeah, I played outside for my high school team, and there was like a couple, like 1 or 2 years in club I would set too, so I ran like a 6'2".
Oh, the dream.
Yeah, the dream, set and hit in a 6'2". Yeah, you'd love that, Matt.
I've tried at Pepperdine. I tried.
Marv wasn't having it.
Yeah, we had pretty good opposites, so he wasn't.
Yeah, you had too many big guys.
I was gonna say you had some gnarly dudes on your team.
Yeah, I trained as an outside for a week my senior year. That was so cool. I was like, this is a dream.
That was the year you had like, right, Josh and Parker and Tino.
Yeah. Yep. That was the year where we were the unanimous #1 ranked team in the country. Marv was like, you know what? You've gotten all Americans at this position, but I want to throw you in as the O2. I was like, sweet, I'll take the whole court. No problem.
That's awesome.
Don't set me. Only set me high balls. I think I'm the only guy that's ever walked in that gym and been like, besides Dave Wyzorek, that's like, I only want high balls. Don't give me
Dave
any.
Wyzorek.
It's either on the line or it's going through the lights.
Yeah. There's always more cross for Dave.
There's always more angle for Big D. That's right. So then how did you end up getting, no offense, how did you end up getting to Nebraska as an undersized outside that ran 6'2"s?
So I said I was recruited as an outside to everywhere that was recruiting me except for Nebraska. Nebraska was the only school that recruited me as a libero.
Okay.
And I think John really likes recruiting setters to the libero position, just obviously for out of system purposes. And I just was always a really good ball control type kid. So, and that's honestly when I'm recruiting liberos, that's kind of what I'm looking for too, is an undersized outside that is, you know, an exceptional ball handler.
For
sure. So that's kind of just, that was my skill set. You know, I hit in high school because I was, you know, one of the tallest ones on my team in Iowa, but I was always a great passer and I had some setting experience. So it's kind of what John was looking for in a libero. So yeah.
Why Nebraska? Besides it being Nebraska.
Yeah, I went to a match at Nebraska, and just the atmosphere, they were still playing in the Coliseum. And the atmosphere and the noise and the tradition, like you could just feel something special at Nebraska. It just like, it was a really cool vibe. So yeah, after seeing the match and seeing the crowd and seeing how important volleyball was to Nebraska just kind of was a no-brainer for me.
How many fans fit in the Coliseum?
Yeah, the Coliseum held just over 4,000 fans. So
Perfect volleyball.
not perfect. So yeah, when they went to move volleyball from the Coliseum to the Devaney Center, a lot of people were against it because the Coliseum was so special. And like Coach Cook was worried about the sellout streak continuing and, you know, what was that going to look like? But, you know, they still sell out Devaney every match, and just over 8,000 in Devaney.
Talk about a home court advantage.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
How many come out to Ole Miss games?
Right now, I think we get just under 1,000 for matches, and yeah, and the gym is a similar size to Pepperdine's.
Yeah.
But it's 3 years old. It was renovated 3 years ago, so it's really, really nice. So yeah, it's a decent sized crowd. There's definitely room for improvement, but it's not Nebraska yet.
Yet is the key word there.
Yet. Growth mindset. Yet.
Yet is the key word there. So you walk into Nebraska, your team is so sick. Your first year. It's you, Tracy Stalls is there, right?
Yeah. Sarah Pavin.
Sarah, Jordan, you.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I was the only person on the court that wasn't an All-American my freshman year.
Well, and
we had
really company.
2 players of the year. We had 2 players of the year. So Sarah Pavin was player of the year my freshman year, and then the year before that, Christina Hotelling was the player of the year. So they were both on that team.
Oh my gosh.
And we got swept in the regional final. By Carly Lloyd's team at Cal.
Talent doesn't win championships, teams do.
Yep, exactly. I think Carly was hitting, her serve was a standing topspin serve that year.
Yeah, but if one person could do it, it's her.
Absolutely. She crushed us. She blew us up.
That's amazing.
What else do you remember about that match?
Cal had 2 really gnarly outsides, Angie Pressey and
was Cara Murray on that team?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I think she came the year after, or maybe 09. I'm not sure, but I don't think she was on that team, but they had a Croatian outside on that team. I forget her name, but she had a super heavy arm, and I'm just getting blown up in left back, just destroyed. I'm this freshman libero going up against these 2 really gnarly senior outside hitters, and I'm just getting pegged basically the whole match. It was
their night.
It was absolutely their night. They went off.
Surface equals control. That's that's what I've heard. If you're getting pegged, you gotta get pegged in the right place.
Yeah. Well, 18-year-old Kayla did not know that.
So what was that team? I can't imagine. Actually, I can't imagine because we were in the same boat my senior year. But you guys had player of the year. How much ego was on that team?
There was some egos we had to deal with, and there was a lot of people that, their hearts were in the right place, and they put the team first, and they knew, what was going to help us win, and that was, team and chemistry and all that kind of stuff. But there was definitely some egos we had to deal with, and I think ultimately was the downfall of that team.
Really?
What was your role in the leadership that year?
That year I had 0 leadership role. I was a freshman, so I was wide-eyed, deer in the headlights, trying to just keep my head above water. So yeah, no leadership role, but yeah, it was definitely an interesting year. Learned a lot about teammates and, culture over talent and those kind of things.
what year, how did the culture develop like each year? Like, so I mean, because you got to start, we were kind of the same way at Pep. We had like these old guys that as soon as we came in, because we were talented,
Hmm.
we're like, hey, don't step on our shit. Like, this is our university kind of thing. I was like, nobody's trying to capsize the boat. We're just trying to
Right.
get in the boat and like sail to shore. That's all.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you felt that way your freshman year, but like how much did it improve as time wore on?
Yeah. It was freshman year was, I mean, we just had a lot of people worried about their own individual accomplishments, and
Yeah.
you know, obviously that's no way to function as a team. And the next year after that, you know, we graduated quite a few people, and lost our setter to, she transferred, and actually quit playing volleyball. But yeah, my sophomore year, we kind of made a decision that, you know, all right, last year was shitty and it sucked, so we're going to do things differently. And um, that year of, you know, adversity really brought us closer together, and made us focus on what's important, and what we wanted our year to look like. So I'd say from my freshman year to sophomore year, the culture was like a complete 180. You know, really focused on being a good teammate, putting your team before yourself. How can we help each other, and cultivating that love type of culture. So freshman to sophomore year was like an epic jump in terms of culture. And then junior, senior year, we kind of just tried to build on and kind of recreate sophomore year, because my sophomore year was 2008, and that was a really, really special year for Nebraska. So my junior, senior year, we just kind of were trying to figure out how do we recreate that? How do we make that happen again?
Yeah.
When you
Did
say we made a decision to do that, was it very player driven, or was it from the coaching staff?
That's my exact question. Well done, sir.
Yeah. So it was player driven. Jordan Larson, that was her senior year. And she had two other players in her class, in her senior class. So it was Jordan, Amanda, and Rachel, and they were our captains that year. And they kind of spearheaded the idea that, okay, things were going to be different this year, and this is how we're going to do things, and this is what's important, and this is the stuff that we need to buy into. So they spearheaded that movement, and the rest of us bought into it and jumped on board.
Did John change at all, or was he, I mean, did he present himself the same way and he was just like, hey, like if this is what you guys want, this is what you guys want? Or could you see an active change in his mentality as well, of being like, all right, I'm behind you guys, like I'm all in as well?
He definitely had like our captains' backs,
Yeah.
which I think is maybe different from the year before. The captains went to him and they sat down and they're like, hey, this is how it's going to be. Like, this is what we want our senior year to look like. This is what's important. And he definitely jumped on board with them, and you could tell that he had their backs. So that was probably the main difference. But besides that, I mean, he was kind of the same, you know, ran practices the same, coached the same. But it was very clear that he held the captains in high esteem, and he kind of let them run the show when they wanted to.
Do you take that same position as a coach now?
Yeah. For my program now at Ole Miss, I'm relying on the captains for a lot of team culture type of stuff. But the other part of building a program is educating them on, you know, what it should look like, and what culture is, and what it means, and what's important, and what it takes to win. So it's a little bit more education for me as a coach so far, in terms of, you know, this is what it looks like, this is what it feels like, this is what it takes, and just showing my team and my captains those kind of things so that they can kind of take the reins and be leaders in that way.
At what point in time, did you think that you were going to be with the Olympic team at any point in time in that journey?
No.
I had a feeling.
No, I didn't think that until literally my senior year ended. My senior season ended, and I majored in English, which is a joke. I don't know why I did that. And I think I just did it to stay eligible. Like my academic advisor was like, Kayla, you should probably declare a major because you need to stay eligible. So I picked English because I just liked reading and writing with no real plan on how I was going to use that. So my senior season ends, and I remember sitting in my basement in Lincoln for like 2 days straight, just kind of panicking, like, what am I going to do now? Like, what am I going to do? I am not ready for this. And then I got a phone call from Karch asking me to come out to the USA gym, and I was just like, all right, that works. Let's do it.
So you weren't even thinking of pro then if you were kind of in a panic?
No.
Oh.
Wow.
No, I was like, well, I guess I could start applying for like jobs at the local newspaper. Like, I don't know. Like, I had no idea what I was going to do until Karch called me.
Yeah, for sure.
That is such a trip. Everybody's got a chance. Anybody listening?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a chance.
Everyone's got a chance. I was never an All-American. I wasn't even All-Conference. I think I was honorable mention All Big 12 my senior year. Like, you don't have to be this big, highly touted player with all these awards. Like, anyone can do it.
Yeah, and that's your proof right there that it takes a team. You know, all the individual stuff is nice, but that's not what it's about.
Yeah, that's not the stuff you remember, you know, like,
Wow.
you know, you're not going to remember, you know, your All-American award and like, yeah, maybe your name's on the wall and your picture's on the wall, but you're going to remember the friends and, you know, the special matches and things like that. So for sure.
So
How was
going into the U.S. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, go ahead. You're about to say what I'm gonna say, so I'm all.
You guys are on the same page.
So going into the USA gym, are you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed again, or what's happening with you?
Yeah, I was the deer in the headlights again, kind of not really knowing what I was doing or what the end goal. Like I was in the USA gym, but I wasn't even thinking about the Olympics. Like I just was like thinking about USA. So when I first started with the USA, like I wouldn't even say that I had really even had goals set for myself. I just was kind of there to play and just played as hard as I could every day and without really thinking too much about the outcome or any goals or anything like that.
What an amazing way to play, though. Like you're just so free.
Yeah.
It must be such a liberating feeling. Just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna walk in today.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna play. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. It was cool. I mean, I felt really lucky to be able to get in the gym with some of the best girls in the nation in, you know, my year. Because when I first started there, it was just like a group of seniors that were just fresh out of college that went out to train for like 4 or 5 months. So for me, it was just fun to like go play at a high level and get to work with Hugh and Karch. And so it just wasn't too complicated for me the first few months. I was just playing.
How much different was it when everybody came home?
That's when it got a little bit gnarly.
Yeah. That was a gnarly group too, as Jordan and Courtney have. Courtney went more in depth about it, and she was like, "It was different."
It was a clusterfuck.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
Like
it was awful.
Did that just throw you for a whirlwind of like, I'm back on my 06 team in Nebraska of some egos in the gym?
Yeah, it was pretty awful. Just dreaded going to the gym every day. Would leave the gym in tears often. It kind of was a slap in the face in terms of the difference between professional volleyball and collegiate volleyball, where collegiate volleyball is more about team and culture and how can I help my team win, and professional volleyball is more about, all right, well, this is a job and you better get your shit done. And if you don't, like, there's somebody else that will. So it's more individualistic and it's more about Am I playing well? Am I getting paid? And there's just different priorities when it comes to professional. And that was very obvious when everyone came back from overseas. It wasn't anything like there was no focus on how to be a great team. There was no focus on team culture, gym culture. It was all about, am I scoring points and am I making rosters? And if I'm not doing that, then like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what she's doing. And all that matters is that I'm playing well and that I get to make rosters. So it was super gnarly.
So brutal. That's
Maddie
so
and I-
brutal.
Maddie and I talked about that actually like earlier this week about how like when you're young, like 19, 20, and you go into the gym for the first time, you don't realize that every day everybody's watching you. Like you have no perception of that reality until you
Right.
get abroad. In like a couple years, you're like, oh shit, like that first month really mattered.
Yeah.
Like that,
Like every,
that set the tone for the rest of my career potentially. And you have no idea when you're 19, 20, unless
Right.
you're like really sure of yourself, which most people aren't. Like those are like very rare people that are so confident in what they're doing
Mhm.
at that age. But when you first walk in, it's like, this is it. The clock has begun.
yeah. And it's like every single touch is statted.
Yeah.
Every single drill you play, it's documented whether you win or lose. And it's just, it's a tryout. It's a tryout 24/7. It's
So
insane.
I've never been in that environment, but for both of you, when that switch flips and like now you're conscious of that and it's like, oh, this is what's going on. Take me through what that feels like and how your mindset changes.
It's, I don't know about you, Matt, but for me, it just felt like a panic. Like the first couple of years I played for USA, and it just felt like every single time I was in the gym, it was just fear and panic. Like, don't mess up. Don't mess up because this roster's coming out. And you want to be on it. And if you mess up, like, you don't get to play. It was just constant state of like walking on eggshells and just wildly unhealthy mentally. So it was super hard. It was really hard.
Yeah, that like the age discrepancy for me was a hard because when I first met Kayla, I was like 20 or like 19 or 20 in the gym. It was like my junior year of college,
Mm-hmm.
and it was my first full summer. And like part of you just wants to enjoy it because you're like, man, like I'm in Southern California, I'm playing really good volleyball, and then because of your age and like where everybody else is, like I was with Garrett Mwagatatia and like Dan McDonald and Carson was still there and like and
Carson's always gonna be
Carson's always gonna be there and like
there.
Ryan.
What is
Ammerman,
Carson doing?
Yeah, and Ryan Ammerman, and they were all like 20. They're me now, and like 25, 26, 27 years old, like, and they're competing every day. And for me, I was just like, do these guys like me or not? And like, it's not, that's not it. Like, it was like, I couldn't even wrap my head around the fact that it was like, these guys come into work every day. Like, they're not as fortunate as you. Like, you're still in college. Like, you're hanging out. You're trying to like enjoy your time while playing volleyball. And I was like, this is their life. This is it. Like, if they don't make this roster, they're not putting food on the table tonight,
Mm-hmm.
And it took me until my first year abroad to recognize, I was like, this is a job. This is different. And if you're lucky enough to be like a good leader or have good leadership, then you can create a team. But if you're unlucky, which 95% of humans are when it comes to team sports, then it's kill or be killed.
Mm-hmm. That's
It's
exactly what it was. Kill or be killed.
It's brutal, especially when you're on that B team and it's like there's only 12 or 14 that travel. And when you're 15, 16, 17, and 18 and you're in that revolving door,
Yeah.
those guys are stressed. And you can see it, you can feel it. Like if you give them one bad set and they can't kill it, it's like you just fucking cost me.
Yeah, and they let you know about it.
Yeah, they'll let you know. They don't care how old or young you are. Like you're gonna hear it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty stressful.
It was gnarly.
Gnarly for sure.
Cool to hear that the USA program is in a much better place now. And from that first year for you, Kayla,
Hmm.
from the other people we've talked to, it sounded like it just got better and better as far as the team culture and
Hmm.
kind of building that championship mentality as a team.
Hmm. Yeah, so it was kind of the same situation as when I was in college. 2007, we had a really tough year, and then 2008, we decided, things were going to be different. It was kind of like that in the USA gym. 2012, they lost in the gold medal match, and we came back 2013, and collectively as a group, we're like, no, like this has to be different. Like we can't live like this. It has to change. So, yeah, Karch brought in Mike Gervais, so we worked with him a lot throughout that quad and talking about team culture and what we want to be about and how do we take care of each other and all those good things that we committed to in 2013. That's the way we wanted to run things, and that those are the things that were important to us. And it just was light years better because we just decided to take care of each other instead of just taking care of ourselves.
That makes life so much easier. That Marvel, you
Yeah.
tell me that? Like if you're playing bad, just think about like covering your teammate.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it. And then all of a sudden you stop thinking about yourself for a couple seconds and
Yeah.
get better and you start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not like, obviously we're still competing, we're still trying to make roster spots, but, you know, at the same time that I'm trying to make a roster spot, like I'm trying to help Kim and, Sally and whoever it is, I'm trying to help them make a roster spot. So it was about competing, but it was also about competing for your teammates and competing to make your teammates better.
That's what it's all about. That's how you win.
Yeah, seriously, it really is. That's what's important.
Is that something that you're, I don't want to say pushing, but probably pushing on your team right now? Is like
Definitely.
how to compete properly?
Yep. So we talk a lot about how can we help each other. How do I make my teammates better? Um, I kind of made up the word teammateship. That's kind of stuck with them. So check the Oxford English Dictionary in a couple of years. Maybe that'll be in there. But we talk a lot about teammateship and what that looks like, what that feels like. So that's been huge for us. And I had the girls kind of put together kind of like a John Wooden pyramid for this season, and teammateship was one of the base sections of their pyramid.
That's awesome.
Oh, that shows that they're buying in at least a little bit if it's at the bottom of that pyramid, if it's one of the fundamental things.
Yeah. So I think they really like that, and I think that resonated with them. So they've taken that on their shoulders really well.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
It seems like a really common fault that average coaches make to just pin kids against each other and be like, this is competing. Yeah, it's just lazy.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, it's just like, I'll just make them all hate each other and then I don't have to do
Yeah.
it.
Right. Stupid. Those are stupid people. Yeah. I mean, it's it's lazy. It's building a culture and teammates and learning and teaching all that stuff. It takes time and energy and effort, and you got to be willing to do all those things if you want to be great.
Do you remember the, I love like the way Kim and actually all of them have described it so far. It's like, it's pretty funny because you guys did not have a good summer going into the World Championships, correct?
Oh no, we were it was bad. We didn't qualify for Grand Prix finals week, which was like unheard of. It was rough.
Do you remember what like switched? Was there a switch or was it just like, oh, we just gotta keep doing what we're doing?
Yeah, I don't think there was a switch. We just kept with what we originally bought into in the hopes that it would eventually pay off, and stuck with the process and the journey, and yeah, I don't think anything changed. I think we just kind of buckled down even harder for each other, and dove even further into that culture that we were building and stuck with the process.
When you guys were in it, like in World Championship, did you guys realize that you guys were in a flow, or was it just you're just taking every day by day, match by match, point by point?
Yeah, I don't think I don't think I realized it at the time, because I remember the first match we played in Mexico or something, and we lost the first set. So it wasn't, I don't think we felt anything different, or like, I don't think we felt like we were in a flow at the time, but looking back on it, we definitely got into a flow. But like we almost didn't even qualify for the finals round. Like we I forget exactly how it happened, but we needed Italy to beat
Russia.
Right, like win at least one set or two sets against Russia. Oh, okay, got it. So if Italy beat Russia one set, then Italy would automatically be in the quarterfinals or quarterfinals maybe. And if they won one set and then lost the match, we would be eliminated. So, but if they won two sets and lost the match, then we would be in the quarterfinals, or it was something to that effect.
Yeah.
So we're watching the match on like the wall. We had a projector on the wall in our hotel, and they won the first set. And so we're all like waiting there, like to see who they're going to play in the second set. Yeah. We're like, are they going to put in their scrubs just because they know they don't have to win anymore and rest everybody? Or are they going to put in their starters again? And so like we see their starters go back into the court, and we're just like, yes. But like, we barely even qualified for the playoffs. So I don't think we really realized what was happening, and we just kind of took it day by day. And yeah, it was a little bit odd of an experience.
Pretty cool at the end of it, though. What a result!
Yeah.
Do you remember that playoff? You got to think you're in a flow in the playoffs. You guys were just cruising. It felt like you guys were side out. Like just watching, I was like, man, they're balling.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it felt good. Sweeping Brazil is always like amazing. So we had to have been in some sort of flow state to do that. I do think we got a little bit lucky with some referee calls that went our way that maybe shouldn't have. So, yeah, I think we got into a flow state, but maybe we just didn't quite realize it at the time.
Was there any thought after it, like going into the next summer of like, all right, I think we could carry this in to winning an Olympic gold? Was that ever, was it in the back, or was it like at the forefront or in the back of your guys' mind? Like going forward, like, oh, we can do this.
I don't know if it was in the forefront or in the back, but it was definitely reinvigorating, and definitely confirms that, this process that we've started out on 2 years ago is something that's working for us. And yeah, would definitely help us, get maybe a World Cup gold or an Olympic gold. And so we kind of just, I'm trying to think of the word, but just confirms that what we were doing was working, and we just got to stick with that.
Oh man, how going into the Olympics? I can't. I hate doing this one.
Oh God.
Yeah, I don't know. Going into the Olympics, well, because you guys were rolling in the Olympics too, and then when you guys knew you guys were going to match up with Serbia, was it like, what were you guys? I mean, what was the thought before playing Serbia? Was it just like, all right, it's a good opponent, we've prepped well, we just got to go out and do our thing? Or was there like a tiny bit of fear in the thought of like, man, we got to play like Mihailovic and we got to play Boskovic, and these are two big dogs we got to take down?
Yeah, I was really happy when we saw that Serbia was on our side of the bracket, because on the other side was Brazil and China, right? Like just super gnarly.
Yeah.
And I was happy that it was Serbia, because it's a team that we've beat many times before, and we know how to beat this team. So I think we had a good game plan. I think we all felt really good going into that match. But, you know, Serbia is one of those teams that on any given night, they can just all of a sudden, you know, play out of their minds and be just crazy, gnarly good. And that just happened to be one of their nights. But I think we felt really good going into that match. And yeah, and we were positive, we were confident. It just happened to be Serbia's night.
Happens, I guess.
Happens.
Micah said it the best. He said he was just destroyed for like 2 straight days
Mm-hmm.
until they got to play for the bronze medal match. Were you in the same state where you're just like, I don't even want to get out of bed?
Yeah, it was like the biggest crash. Like, I can't even describe it. I felt like I was in a hole. Like I couldn't stop crying I cried myself to sleep that night. We met as a team that night just to talk about, you know, how are we gonna pick ourselves up, and like no one could stop crying. Like we just couldn't. Like I could barely function.
Yeah.
It was the gnarliest crash of my entire life. I can't even describe how hard it was.
How did you guys turn? Kudos. 1.
Yeah.
1 for being an Olympian. 2 for fucking turning it around.
Yeah.
Like what? I mean, was there like, did somebody say something to an effect, or was it just one of those things where everybody looked at each other and they're like, if we're gonna be here, we might as well fucking win a bronze?
Yeah. It wasn't anything that anyone said. It just was the same stuff that we've been working on for 4 years, that we're going to take care of each other and that we're going to play for each other and we're going to figure out how to make each other successful. And especially when things are hard, and, you know, we dealt with that loss and it seems impossible to get up and play for another, you know, a bronze medal. We really just, you know, leaned on each other and we just went out and played for each other, and that was kind of it. Like it was really kind of a beautiful thing that, you know, now that the gold medal was no longer an option, you know, we just kind of went back to that foundation that we built of playing for each other and just enjoying being with each other. So definitely like the hardest match I've ever played, the most difficult match to like get up for and play for. But we had already established this culture of, you know, we're going to take care of each other and we're going to do it for each other. So that made it a lot easier.
Matt, edit this out if my timeline's off, but I believe Carrie and April were in the same boat as you guys the night before you guys played, correct?
I don't know if it was the night before or night after, but yeah, they had lost in the semis and we're going through the same thing. Did
you guys collaborate at all, or was there eyes on them for you guys as a team?
Not really. The one thing that did happen that was really cool, and I think it might have been after we lost in the semifinals. I'm not entirely sure. Courtney or Jordan would probably know better. But Billie Jean King wrote us a letter that just was like, she's like, I've been watching you guys this whole tournament. I'm so inspired by you guys. Like, keep doing what you're doing. And it was just like, holy shit.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was epic. So I don't know if that was, I honestly don't remember if it was before or after the semis, but it was just like little things like that, you know, just kind of kept us going and picked us up a little bit.
Did you know that was going to be it for you? And you were going to start coaching after?
Yeah. I knew that going in. like I said, when I first started at USA, like I didn't have any goals. Like I didn't know what I was doing. And then when I eventually set a goal to go to the Olympics and I accomplished that goal, like I felt good about moving on and I did what I wanted to do. And I didn't even have a goal to medal, you know, like my goal was to go to the Olympics. So I did that, and doing that was really, really freaking hard physically and mentally. Like it's just so taxing. So I accomplished the goal that I set for myself, and I could have played another quad, but just physically and mentally, I didn't know that I could commit to be 100% all in on that. So I felt at peace with what I'd accomplished, and I felt ready to move on.
That's awesome.
So now you're Coach Kayla.
Yeah.
Did you guys cross paths at Pepperdine when you volunteered there?
No, I was the year after, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
man. I
were
want
you
to
with
good
Tino?
Matt West stories.
No.
What's that, Matt?
Were you with Tino?
Yeah, it was Tino's senior year.
That guy. How was he?
I haven't talked to him in forever, but they're having a kid. Him and his wife, Haley, right?
Hadley.
Hadley. Yeah,
How did you like coaching Tino?
I loved it. He's like, you know, Tino, super chill, like, just like, what, yeah, whatever. Like, it just was, everyone on that team was super fun. Like, I had Stu and Dave is Dave, and, you know, there was just a really cool group of guys. I just felt like I was going and hanging out
Who
every day.
on the staff? It was you, D Hunt, Marv, and Rooney.
Yeah.
What a sick
Yeah.
staff. Rooney's the man.
Rooney is the man.
Rooney, if
Rooney's
you
the
listen to
best.
this, respond to my text so we can schedule a day.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And like, honestly, I didn't feel like I really even did much for them because I was training at the same time. So I literally just went up to like hang out every day. And it was a ton of fun.
How was it being in the men's gym?
Yeah.
I mean, I know Pepperdine's culture is really good, and they're going to respect whoever has the title coach with them. But was that your first experience in a men's gym, or?
Yeah, that was my first time in a men's gym, and yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure how they would react, you know, having a female coach, but they were all super responsive, super open to what I was saying. They wanted feedback from me, and that was really, really cool. And obviously that's Marv and testament to his culture that he's built there. But those guys were so great to work with and just super welcoming, super open to me being in their gym and giving them feedback. And yeah, it was really, really cool experience.
That's awesome to hear.
What's a good Marv story?
Oh, good Marv story. There's so many. When I think of Marv, I think of Faniete. Just playing Faniete. Every chance, in the airport, on the plane, in the bus, everywhere. Faniete.
I don't understand how he always has like the freshest deck.
Yeah.
It's always
In
like
Rio, he went to Rio with us, and we had like a team room in Rio where we'd watch video and we get to hang out. And anytime that we were like not practicing or competing, there would always be a Faniete game going in the team room. And it was always Marv and like an assortment of 3 other people. But Marv was always the staple.
he showed me a photo of him because he had like met Kobe and George Bush or something at the Olympics in 08. And then there's a photo of him and he like found this trash can and brought it over and was like playing Faniete with all these guys. People like around him watching. And he's like, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. I was like, what the?
Yeah. There was one time we were in Rio, and he was playing short court with somebody, and he pulled like the old, oh, watch out for that ball.
Yeah.
And the person turned around and he served it and aced him, or aced her obviously, but I'll never forget that one. The other one is my dad came to visit me one weekend, and I took him up to Pepperdine with me. And it's not really a funny story, but just Marv was so welcoming, and just talked to my dad for like 30 minutes. And my dad's a volley nerd, so they like nerded out on volley, and just things like that is what make Marv great.
He's a unique man, that is for sure.
Definitely.
We had a Finette tournament at camp, and Marv was like, all right, you're going to be my partner. I'm not great by any means. And we're playing Rick McLaughlin and Vince Devaney. So it's like for pride, because Rick really wants to beat Marv.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm really not that into it. I'm kind of here just to hang out, and I just want the McDonald's. And I think I must have, because when Marv trash talks, it just sounds like he's talking, and then you like stop and you're like, what the hell did you just say? And then he trash talks his partner more than he starts trash talking the other team. If you're playing fast, like he just harps you. And I started laughing so hard that I must have misplayed like 3 times. It cost us the game. And he's like, you're out of here, man. Like, I need a new partner. Winder, you're with me now.
That's so funny. Yeah, I totally know what you're saying.
Oh, that guy, man. So then after, did that give you like a good taste of what you wanted in your coaching experience, being around all those guys?
Yeah, for sure. That culture, that kind of welcoming, hospitable environment is definitely something that's written in my Ole Miss team values. So I definitely got all that from Marv. If anyone's in our gym, the girls go over and introduce themselves, and just little things like that Marv did are things that really stuck with me and have become really important to me.
And then the following year, you went back to Nebraska, correct?
Yep. So played in Rio, retired after that, did like nothing for 3 to 4 months, and then started at Nebraska in January of 2017.
Was it nice? It had to be nice to be back. How much different was it to be on the other side?
Very different. Very different. I found myself asking the question of the Huskers a lot, like, how did you not see that? That was kind of like the main question I asked. So I really had to figure out how to go into teaching mode. And how do I speak to them in a way that, they understand me. And so it's definitely a big learning curve. Coaching is a lot different than playing. But I'm fortunate to have worked with Marv and play and work for Coach Cook. So I had some pretty good teachers to help me learn that stuff.
And after last season, were you looking to get a head coaching job, or was Ole Miss just something that popped up and it's in a really good conference and it just kind of worked out for you?
Yeah, Ole Miss has just kind of popped up. They used a recruiter to search for head coaches. So their recruiter called me and asked if I would be interested in Ole Miss, and like just a phone call. And I was kind of like, no, but like, okay. So I honestly had like never been to Mississippi, like did not know anything about Ole Miss, and was just kind of like, all right, well, I guess I'll just take this phone call just to like entertain it. Talked with our SWA here, our sport administrator, and director of student engagement, and had a really, really good conversation with them. And they right away asked me to come see campus. So came and saw campus, met Keith, our AD, and just kind of fell in love right away. So it was definitely not something I was planning on, just kind of something that popped up and all the pieces fell into place.
Did you feel prepared at all for this new challenge? Or were you just like, you know what, I'm just going to take it at face value. I'm going to go for it.
I was a little bit prepared. Like I said, I coached under Coach Cook for 3 years and played under him for 4 years. So seeing how he runs a really high level program has obviously been beneficial. So I felt ready to take on this new challenge. But there's definitely been times this first year where I'm like, well, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So let's figure it out, I guess. So there's definitely a learning curve. There's definitely exploration and trying to figure things out and how I want to do things and how this is going to work. So, but I feel really fortunate. I hired a really great staff that have been very, very awesome so far. So I feel good about what's happening so far. I'm obviously learning, and I'm going to keep learning, and hopefully that doesn't ever stop.
Were you guys able to take your 6-week training block before March, before COVID hit?
Yeah. So we started our 8-hour period, obviously in January. And then I don't even know, we had maybe 1 or 2 weeks in our 20-hour period. And then I actually had my son March 11th. So I went into the hospital, had my son, and then like the next day, Bo comes in and goes, yeah, we're sending all the student athletes home.
Oh my God.
And yeah, I'm like in the hospital. I was super drugged up from birth, like giving birth. And so I'm like still loopy. Like I slept most of the day after giving birth. And he comes in, he's like, yeah, they're all going home. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? It was really bizarre. So yeah, got out of the hospital and everyone's at home. And that's kind of when the whole quarantine COVID thing kicked off.
How many total days have you practiced with your team since you've taken this job?
It's been quite a bit, actually. We had the spring, like a little chunk in the spring. And then because the SEC was putting off their decision on a season for so long, we actually got double days with them.
Oh, man.
So we had 2 weeks of double days, and then 2 weeks after that of just like when they started school and 1 practice a day. So we've actually had quite a bit of time together, and now we went back into an 8-hour period. So we're at 1 hour a day, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So we're getting a lot of time with them, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
But we have a lot to learn. So I will take as much time in the gym as I can with them.
I like it. I like it. Culture goes the distance, though, as we have learned on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest thing? How do you establish culture? Like, I know obviously it takes time and experience and getting to know one another, but like when you walk in the first day, are you thinking, I gotta set the tone right now? Of like, what, this is what I want, this is who I am?
Yeah, you got to set the tone early, and you got to hold people accountable. So, if you come into our gym, you might see the girls running lines, and that's just us establishing a culture of, for example, they might be running lines, and when they get done, I'll have to say something like, we don't watch balls fall, or, something like that. So you have to tell them, what's expected of them right away, and you just got to hold them to that standard. And it's going to take time, obviously, and habit forming and things like that. But you got to be very firm in what you want from them, and you have to lay it out in detail what their expectations are. And then you got to be willing to hold them accountable when they don't meet those expectations.
Sure. Do you work kids? Do you throw them around the gym and stuff?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. But it was when we had to practice with masks on. Like they literally had to play with masks on.
Oh,
So they're like inhaling their mask. Like they're breathing and like the mask is going into their mouth. And so like I'm like running these girls, and they're like, they get done and one goes over to like her asthma inhaler. And I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. So I felt really bad afterwards. I haven't done a coach on one since then. So nothing quite like Marv does, where he'll just like randomly like throw a ball off the side and like you gotta run and get it. But we run lines. We run lines if things aren't happening the way I want them to happen. So but no, I've only done one coach on one, and
Get
I don't know.
out.
Yeah, it was a little gnarly.
Marv told me a story that this kid, he walked out, he parks on the same place on the hill every day.
hmm
So some kid on his team parked there, and Marv was like, he's like, hey, like whatever your name is, like, is that your car? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, can you move it? That's my spot. And the kid's like, well, first come, first serve. And Marv was like, well, all right then. So he just worked him. Like he just crushed this kid, right? The next day, Marv pulls up, same cars there parked.
Oh my
The kid did it for like a couple days or whatever until he just couldn't handle it anymore. Like, because they were just getting that much worse.
Every day he would give him run him.
Yeah, he
Oh
would
my
just get on
gosh.
the coach on one every day because he was parking in his spot.
That is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. When you first walked into the gym, what did you feel like was the first thing that you needed to establish culturally with the kids?
I think effort.
Okay.
The we typed up a whole list of gym rules. So like effort, talking, growth mindset was a big one. Like we're gonna learn and things are gonna be different and you guys gotta be open to change and and the other thing was we're gonna get a ton of reps in. So like the pace of practice, the urgency at which we train, those were kind of the main things that it's like this is what we need to establish right away and like these are the standards. So we gotta live up to those standards every time we're in the gym.
In your first couple of weeks there, was a majority of your practices block practicing or random practicing?
Block. So my practice normally starts with like blocks, different bursts, like block bursts, attack school, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I try and end with competing. We've dealt with some injury this year so far. So we had about a week and a half where we didn't have enough personnel to get into 6-on-6. So it was more block and technique training. And now that we're back in 8-hour period, I just get 1 hour a day with them. So it'll just be block stuff and learning and technique focused training.
Are there any specific statistical indicators that you're kind of basing your training around as far as like what skills we're working on and what systems we're using?
Yeah, actually we put together a notebook for them actually. So they all have an Ole Miss notebook. And then the last page is we put together like a stats most correlated with winning chart. So we have, side out percentage, point scoring, points earned, points given, trans efficiency, knockout efficiency, different stats like that. So they all have this stat sheet and kind of explains, why we're doing the things we're doing and why it's important and all that good stuff. So there's definitely a method to our madness and hopefully they all understand why we're doing the things we're doing.
So you've worked under Marv and obviously you've had coaches like Hugh and Cart and Coach Cook, but your personal philosophy with these kids and teaching them the game, how much are you providing them with like skill of like, this is how you have to do it versus creativity of like, hey, if that's just how you move, that's just how you move.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a happy medium. There's techniques that we're teaching them that, it's pretty black and white that this is just the right way to do it.
Yeah.
But then we also have one of our pillars is unleash the athlete. So it's like, these are the skills that are going to help you. These are the techniques that are going to help you be great. But at the end of the day, like, just be an athlete, like be aggressive, compete to win. And, try and incorporate what we're talking about. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, score points,
Yeah.
So
These first 2 years that you're at Ole Miss, how are you defining success for you and the program?
Yeah, I mean, we have, team goals like make the NCAA tournament, finish top half of the SEC. But to me, if like we can hit some of these statistical goals that we've set, if we can really establish this culture that we're trying to build of teammateship and learner's mentality, and have them have a really true understanding of why we're doing what we're doing, why we train the way we train, why we teach the skills we teach. If we can have a really solid understanding of those things in our gym and establish this culture that we're working on in our gym, then that, to me, that would be a victory.
I too would agree that would be a victory. I second that. I heard one of your Kayla-isms is taking Big Daddy hacks. Is that true?
Yeah. So we have 5 program pillars. Win the serve and pass battle, best defensive team in the SEC, Big Daddy hacks. So aggressive out of system, and that's aggressive setting, aggressive swinging out of system. We take Big Daddy hacks. Unleash the athlete, and then fast and fluid offense. So one of our pillars is Big Daddy hacks. We're trying to get the ball up to the net and be aggressive. I tell my out of system setters to air tight.
Yes.
A lot of people tell their out of system setters to air off the net, which is really dumb.
Yep.
So
Preach.
we air tight. We take Big Daddy hacks, and we play short court every day.
Yes. Teach them net play. I'm all for it.
We play short court almost every day.
I absolutely love it.
I got that from Tyler Hildebrand, actually. He like begged Coach Cook to play short court every day.
Yeah, man. Because once kids learn how to jump straight up and down and move their feet, and you can abuse blockers.
It's easy points.
I mean, especially as a setter, because there's so much net play in your game.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you have the ability, once it's in front of you and you have vision, and then you have the ability to understand like what pressure is, and like pushing it into the block and wiping and like just understanding, it's like, oh my God, your options are limited.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, you set the ball 10 feet, 11 feet, or if you aim for like 5 feet off the net and then you miss at 10 feet, like we're not going to kill that ball.
It's impossible.
It's impossible to kill that ball. If you miss, at 1 foot off the net, like we can kill that ball. We can do something. Yeah. So that's one of our pillars. It's Big Daddy hacks and aggressive out of system.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I've definitely got into this argument with people before about airing tight, and they're like, that and like the terminology that I feel like has been used in the past couple of years has really changed from like, I need you to put the ball here to like, if you can, and if you're going to air, like everything was kind of built around an air philosophy of like, hey, if you air inside. So then people organically, as soon as they're going to set, they're like, oh, don't put it outside. I got to air inside. And instead of 3, it becomes 6.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's cool that you're like, just put it tight and like, let's just wheel and deal.
Yeah, let's be athletes.
Brad, I'm in. I'm stoked to watch Ole Miss volleyball when it happens.
Yeah, maybe sometime soon.
When it happens.
Yeah, you said maybe October, or that's the plan as of right now?
As of right now, we'll go back into the 20-hour period, October 1, and then the first weekend of matches will be October 16th, and I think it's going to be like doubleheader format. So I think we're going to play 8 matches in the fall, and then go back into an 8-hour period over the break, and then finish up. We'll go a little bit of non-conference in February, and then finish up SEC after that. And hopefully there will be an NCAA tournament in the spring at some point.
Wow. It's like a pro season.
It literally is like a pro season.
Pro season. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Kayla, I think we're good here.
I see what you did there. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. It was a really nice chat.
Yeah, I loved it. Thanks for having me. And again, I'm sorry it took me so long.
It was
No
worth
worries.
it.
We appreciate the time.